Hey guys, it's Alice. So today's video is a very book-based video. I'm in a bit of a pickle because I've been reading so many books, and so I kind of want to make the videos like TBRs and pubs, which is, you know, at the beginning of the month you talk about the books you want to read, and at the end of the month you kind of wrap up the books you have read and kind of review them in a way. And I'd love to do that, but I feel like, I don't know, my channel's not like a book channel. I'm filming this anyway because I've been doing my what I want to read in winter, what I want to read in spring, but the issue is I finished all the books in my spring TBR and it's April. So I'm kind of doing a end of spring TBR. So this is my what I want to read in April and May. When it comes to June, I'll probably have to do it separately because obviously I'll have more time in summer, so doing a summer TBR won't work, I'll have to split up. So this is my May and April last semester of uni type TBR thing. So I have a hefty stack of some books here that I would like to read. So I have 8 books that I would like to read over the months of April and May. The first one is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. Now this one is obviously a YA fantasy story. The land is called Mytica. We hope so. And it's divided into 3 kingdoms. This story kind of follows different perspectives about, you know, maybe an impending like battle that's about to happen. And I'm just very excited for this. It says it's the eve of war, each must choose a side, kingdoms will fall. I thought that Morgan Rhodes was a dude, but actually Morgan Rhodes is a girl. I'm really excited about this actually because I've heard loads and loads of people talk about it on BookTube, so I'm very excited to read this. I put it off though for a while buying it because these books were quite expensive on Amazon. As everyone knows, I buy all my books on Amazon. Normally they're, you know, probably about half price, if not at least like a couple pounds off, but these ones are still quite expensive. So the next one that I would like to read is a contemporary called All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. And so what I've gathered is that this is about a boy called Theodore Finch who is very obsessed with the idea of death, so he thinks about it a lot. Then it also follows the perspective of a girl called Violet Markey whose sister died in a tragic accident about a year ago, and so she's still kind of coping with dealing with that. She's in the phase of like at school, she still has the extenuating circumstances, so it's coping with that, and it's about them, how their paths cross and how they might be able to help each other in certain ways. And I'm really excited to read this because sometimes you need a contemporary break in amidst all the fantasy that I read. If anyone has any good contemporary book recommendations, please let me know because that's like the smallest section on my shelf and I'm finding myself needing contemporary breaks quite a lot recently. The next one that I would like to read is called Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, and so this is by the same author that wrote the Divergent series. Now, my dilemma with this is that I never finished the Divergent series. I got like part way through Allegiant and I just stopped and I've never gone back to it. But I know that I've read the Divergent book, I read that about 3 times, and I even have 4, which is the novella, but I just haven't finished it, and so the blurb of this as well, it doesn't draw me in. So I'm kind of reading this out of my love for the first Divergent book. So I'm going to read the blurb because I haven't really heard that many people talk about this. Syra and Akos grew up in enemy countries on a vibrant yet divided planet. Syra's abilities to transfer extraordinary pain with a simple touch makes her a dangerous weapon for her tyrannical brother. When Akos, did I say Akos or Akos? I'm going to say Akos, that sounds better. When Akos is kidnapped and forced to serve Syra, it's clear that their hatred is mutual. But Akos fights for his survival. He recognises that Syra is also fighting for hers and that her true gift, resilience, might be what saves them both. Their world is on the brink of political chaos and Akos and Syra must decide if they will fight for what's right, even if it means betraying their families and countries. When the time comes, will they choose loyalty or love? I'm hoping that this will be really good. I think another thing that puts me off is it's quite a big book. It's not, how hefty are you? It's about 460 pages and the writing feels quite small to me, so I am kind of putting this off, but I want to read it, I want to give it another shot. I want to see if it lives up to how much I loved Divergent, the first book, not the series, because I haven't finished the series. The next one is The Young Elites by Marie Lu, and because I was quite not late to BookTube, but there's loads of books that people loved and raved about that all released like 3 years before I kind of got into it. So I'm trying to like catch up on some old beloved books, if that makes sense. And this is an author that everyone loves and she's releasing new books, but I've never read any of her books, so I thought I would read The Young Elites. I don't know what it's about. Okay, so this book I think follows a girl called Adelina, and it says that she got a blood fever and it left a scar, but then when she got the scar she also was left with kind of magical powers. She's been called a Malfetto and she's kind of excluded from society, but she finds other Malfettos and they kind of band together. That means that she's a young elite, and but Adelina's ability is stronger than any young elite before her. I just really want to get into all the books that kind of made people fall in love with books. The books for me that made me fall in love with books were Percy Jackson, Hunger Games, Shadowhunters. Like, they were my original ones, and then the one that made me re-fall in love was all the Sarah J Maas books. But books like this I just really want to read. But actually it's about 350. All the books I seem to be reading recently are 400 pages. And I just pick them up and I'm like, right, how long are you? 400 pages. Ugh. Also, I feel like my kind of book hauls are not as exciting as a wrap up would be, because I've got no clue what half of these books are about. So if I did a wrap up, then I could actually tell you what they're about. We shall see. Also, I want to buy a new bookshelf, but that's a whole other matter. Those books I bought on Amazon a while back, but I never hauled them, and I briefly showed them in my Mother's Day vlog. Okay, so the next book I want to read is Fire Study by Maria V. Schneider. If you've been following along with my What I Want to Read videos, just so everyone knows, I've read all of the books I mentioned in those videos. This is the third book in the series of the Chronicles of Ixia, and it follows the main character Yelena, who I love. I don't want to give anything away because obviously it's the third book in the series, but I've talked about the first book in both of my last two videos, my TBR videos. I'll describe the first one a little bit. The first one is called Poison Study, and Yelena she's in prison, she's sentenced to death, but she gets the chance to become the king's poison taster, eater, whatever. So she has to learn all the different types of poison, eat all the king's food to make sure that he doesn't get poisoned. Is he the king? It's not the king, is it? It's the commander. I don't know. It sounds like I haven't read these books. I have read these books. Anyway, it follows her in a land where magic is forbidden, and if anyone has any magic, you know, they're killed. And she has a secret that even she's not aware of in the first book, so that's a really, really good book. And the second one was amazing, loved it, and so I'm really excited to read the third. And also the covers are just so pretty to me. Like, I just thought, oh, I just love the covers. How long is it again? 440 pages. And then these next books, as I've mentioned, I buy all my books off of Amazon, right? So I buy books that are kind of not really new releases because they tend to be quite expensive, and I'd rather kind of get more books than the less expensive ones. But for my birthday from my flatmates, I actually got a Waterstones gift voucher. It was £25 and I was like, brilliant, that can be 3 books. So I went in, had a look around and got ones that were still quite expensive on Amazon, so that way I wasn't buying an £8 book that I could actually get for £4 on Amazon. I was buying an £8 book that I would get for like £7 on Amazon. So that makes sense, it makes sense to me. I'm a student, I need to save all the money I can. So none of them are first books in series, they're all carry-ons. This is Obsidio. This is the third book in the Illuminae files, and I have read Illuminae and Gemina. Illuminae took me a while to get into because of obviously the different writing style. These books are amazing. They tell the story in a different format, so they tell it through transcripts and notes and email correspondence and all of that stuff, and so it's such a really interesting way to get through a book. This one was £10 and this was released quite recently. Okay, yeah, so this book actually came out on the 13th of March, so not that long ago. This is the final book and I'm excited because in the second book the characters from the first and second book kind of started to interact, but we knew how they were linked, but they didn't know how they were linked, and at the end you get a sneak peek that they've kind of merged. So this one, I think they'll all be together and it's going to be like the final battle, and I'm so excited. This is I don't want to say dystopian, it's like a sci-fi, is kind of set in outer space on all these different planets and all the space stations, and it's really cool. I don't know how to describe it. I'm so bad at reviews, and also I haven't read this yet, so I'm just really excited to finish this off. And also I love the characters that these two authors write together. I am in love with the kind of the romances in it and the way that they communicate with each other, and it feels very relatable to people my age, and especially I think the humour that they provide in the kind of life and death situations that they're in. It makes you fall in love with these characters, and when something happens to them, like, it breaks your heart. Like, there's one thing I will say, I do really feel very connected with these characters, and I'm really sad for their stories might come to an end. And then the next book I got is Fireblood by Ellie Blake, and I read the first book, Frostblood, over winter and I loved it. It was one of those not stereotypical, but like you knew who was gonna fall in love as soon as you read the blurb. But I loved it. So I followed Ruby, who is a fireblood, and she lives in a kingdom of frostbloods, and she's not allowed to let anyone know she's a fireblood, otherwise she'll be killed. The first book follows her as she kind of gets caught out and runs away and has to go and try and practice her powers, but living in secret. My battery's flashing, this is tragic. I don't want to give any spoilers because I really do like these books. At the end of Frostblood, something massive happens. She gets herself into trouble, and you think people are dead, but they're not. You think people are alive, but they're not, and I was shook. I was shooketh. And I really wanted to buy the second book straight away, but I couldn't because it was really expensive on Amazon, and I just thought, no. Okay, so this came out in September 2017, so not too long ago, but I'm really excited to read this, and also the covers are really cool. And I love covers where, like book covers where the spines match. That's just me being OCD, but... And then the final book on my TBR is a fat one, and it's Wayfarer. First of all, look how pretty the cover is. And this is by Alexandra Bracken. I haven't read her Darkest Minds kind of trilogy, but that again is something I really want to get to. This is the second book to Passenger, which I have over there, and again I read in winter. And this is about time travelling. It follows the main character Etta, who is sucked into this world that she knows nothing about and she hasn't been warned of, and she's got to navigate her way through in all these different time periods that she's never experienced and doesn't know how to hold herself as a woman. And is one thing that it really interests me in the first book was seeing them go into different time periods and having to navigate her being a woman, which in some time periods was completely fine, and in some time periods people treated her like, excuse my language, crap. And the same with him because of his, you know, ethnicity. And I loved the way it was written and the diversity of it, and it ended on such a cliffhanger. Again, you think people are dead but they're not, but then you think people are alive and they're not. And I also fell in love with Nicholas, who's kind of the boy main person in it. I fell in love with him. He's a sailor from like the, I don't want to get it wrong, like the end of the 18th century maybe. So this carries on into that. I haven't even read the blurb. I really don't want to spoil this because talking about this really spoils the ending of that book, but I'm truly excited to read this, and I love the covers. I think the cover's so pretty. Anyway, that is all of the books that I have for today. So these are the books I'm going to try and read before summer, before I finish uni. These are the books I'm going to read over the next 2 months. I'm really excited. I'm so far flying through books. My goal for this year was to read 20 books, and it's April and I've already read 20 books. But anyway, that is all from me for today. I'd really love it if you give this video a like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And yeah, I hope you've all had an amazing day. I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will see you hopefully next Monday with another video. Bye.